Bethany Warren here, and you've joined us for the weekly Our Millwall fan show with the Millwall No One Likes Us Talking team, which is broadcast every Friday evening. Enjoy!
Welcome back to the 21-22 series of No One Likes Us Talking, Our Millwall fan show, which is the 9th show in our new freedom post-lockdown. I'm your host, Gary Staff, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Ted Robinson, Henry Morgan and James Kelly.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Right, guys, another draw at the City Ground and a 1-0 home win against Bristol City last night. I was, for one, really happy with the performance. There was a few stand-up players in there for me, but we get to talk about them in a minute. So I'm going to start today with Ted. What did you think about... Let's go Forest first.
Look, any point away from home is a good point, isn't it, Gary? I think in the Championship myself.
Exactly.
The Forest goal, Christ, what can you do about that? You know, a little bit luck on their side of things. Maybe it's a game we should have won, but to me, the performances is getting that little bit better. The main thing to me is this Hutch back in the back three, if you like, and he seems to be settling that back three down. We seem to be giving a few goals away up until the last couple of weeks, and when you think it was a miss it cross as the only goal gone in them two games, it shows you how important he is. And I thought Bristol City showed the sort of potential that we've got, if I'm honest. So there was times when we was looking good, but I still think there's more to come from Ojo. Jed was out obviously through his illness, but him coming back, I mean, that excites me. Jed Wallace, Afobe and Ojo as a front three. I think they're all excellent players, and I think we're beginning to start to show what we're capable of, and where I think from them two games, what I take from that is if we can push on a little bit, we're definitely going to be there or thereabouts with the playoffs come the end of the season. But then I'm always optimistic, and
Can't disagree. And to be honest, I thought the first 10 minutes, I don't think the ball actually went into City's half of the pitch in the first 10 minutes. Then, well, it all changed for a little bit more. But Ojo looked good in my eyes. But what did you think, Henry?
I think that is exactly the kind of performance we needed. And I've got to say, Gary, I'd like to link this back. Picking up on Ted's point about being unlucky, we deserved to beat Blackburn. All right, we didn't. The offside goal against Coventry, which isn't offside, so that's a 2-1 victory right there. The dodgy cross at Forest should have been a 1-0 victory. We beat Bristol City last night, and actually we're knocking on the door of the top six. If do you know what I mean? If we'd had a bit of a slice of luck, and I haven't even got started on having 8 first-team players out injured. And or catching whatever, and that is, and then it was crucial that we won last night, I think. And it's great to see Hutch getting a man of the match performance. It was great to see Jed Wallace coming back, and obviously, having a little bit of a rest might do him the world of good. I thought, when he come on, he looked fresh. Ojo obviously settling into a new system, but yeah, absolutely agree. Those top three up there just look really threatening. The thing that excites me looking forward is that we have yet to play. I think Gary Rowett is yet to play the starting 11 that he wants. And I think that's mega. And I think that if he can do that and he can get a settled team, it's a terrible division this year, I think, with the exception of West Brom, with the exception of Fulham, maybe Bournemouth. Everyone else can beat everyone else. And we saw that last night, Luton beating Coventry 5-0 or whatever, all those mental results that come and go. So we could give it a go. I think there's no reason if we can stay fit going forward why we can't make the playoffs.
I can't disagree with you, Henry. You know how optimistic I am, and we had a good chat last week at the Leicester game. And even take it back to the Leicester game. Look, we don't make a mistake. We stretch them out again. They start getting panicky. That ball, if that's 0-0 when that ball goes in across 100%. The box, then Afobe gets his head on it. We win 1-0 again. It was hard to take against Leicester City, and I think the fans that stayed did the players justice in that game. And again, last night it was just
100%, mate. And the other thing to say about that Leicester game is that was very far from our starting 11 out
exactly.
There. People playing out position all over the shop, and they're a Champions League team.
Yeah.
And they only really made 2 or 3 changes, like not being funny, but
Yeah. And you got someone like...
Sorry, lads. I was just going to say, you're talking about that game. I think who's worth a mention from the Leicester game was Ryan Leonard. I thought he was outstanding at right back. You know, Lookman's a good player, and he had him in his pocket, as they say. And but then last night, in comes Danny McNamara again. Who I thought, he's so comfortable on the ball, Danny McNamara, that it's nice to know that we got 2 players there that can fill that right side. And at the end of the day, is it the toss of a coin between the two of them? I think I'm Danny McNamara fan, so it'd be him first. But Ryan Leonard and the way that he performed there shows I've got no worries about him slipping in there if he need be.
Indeed. And over to you, James. Your thoughts too?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we played really well against Bristol City. I thought we thoroughly deserved the win. We were the better team from the get-go. It was just good to see a win again and to leave the stadium happy with 3 points because we really needed that. I feel if we got another draw, then it would that would have tipped a lot more people over the edge. And yeah, you are right. We have been very unlucky with injuries. Hopefully Scott Malone's isn't too bad. One player that hasn't been discussed from the Bristol City game was George Saville. I thought he was probably the best game he's had since he's come back to the club. He was composed, winning every ball that he could, controlled the midfield really well, and then obviously for Jed to come on and score the winner was even better.
Totally agree.
And actually, it's quite funny you say that because when we were talking to Phil Coleman, he makes a very good point in the monthly podcast about players reconditioning and reappearing in different parts of the country. Say, for example, I know it's a different thing to say, but Ronaldo going to Manchester United, yes, he hit the ground running, but he's taken a few more games to then get going again. I know it's only Middlesbrough to London, but he's been up there 3 years. He's had to reacclimatise, get his family back down here, etc. And maybe that couple of games is him reacclimatising back to London.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Gary. I think Saville was one that went down with COVID at the start of the season.
Indeed, as well.
I think George Saville. We see the other night what we know George Saville is capable of, and you're right. We haven't seen enough of that, and it may well be down to all the things that you've mentioned, or just the COVID thing, or whatever. But that's what I was saying about earlier. That I think the team all of a sudden is beginning to blossom a little bit into what because Emery makes a great point. We've had so many injuries. We've not had, or Gary Rowett hasn't had the opportunity to pick from the whole squad in any one game this season.
From like Cooper out in the first game of the season, Ted. Do you know what I mean? At QPR, he just hasn't had the back three that he wants. Yeah?
And we all know, Emery, when you're at your best is when you can probably name the starting 11 at the end of one game. You know what I mean? You're on a roll, and that starting 11 literally stays the same for a few games.
100%.
It's been all over the place, if I'm honest, and people have been filling in and playing out of position and whatever. But we're getting there. Bearing in mind, we never have the biggest of squads anyway, so that makes it even more important that the first 11 as such, or as many as we can have, are fit at the same time.
Brilliant points there, guys. So we'll take a break there and listen to Bethany Warren talking about Sands United.
We know that some men can struggle to talk about how they're feeling after the death of a baby. We hope that by building trust and a common bond, by playing together as a team, many more will be able to break their silence about baby loss and help others to do the same. Sands United FC has already saved the lives of men left feeling like they had no one to turn to in their grief. Are you a father who has lost a child? Talk to Sands United. They will help. Contact them on sufclondon@gmail.com. That's sufclondon@gmail.com. They will help.
I'm Gary Staff, and I'm here with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Ted Robinson, Henry Morgan and James Kelly. This Sunday, Sands United go to Invercourt in East Mouldy to take on the Met Police Vets in a charity match with all proceedings going to Sands UK. £5 entry on the day. If you're not watching the Romans play Millwall Pride or the Lionesses in the Women's FA Cup, go and watch some real law and order. Our first guest hails from Woolwich and is a Millwall fan, man and boy. Famed for a goal in the FA Cup U final, which he and his teammates won, he was one of 2 of his family members to wear the Millwall shirt. He made 49 appearances for us over 2 stints and kept the bench warm for a further 19 occasions and scoring 1 senior goal. He went on to play his largest number of professional games for Colchester United and made his most footballing appearances with non-league Wivenhoe Town. He is a local councillor, a teacher and a member of the broadcasting team. Let's welcome to the studio Phil Coleman.
Evening everyone, thanks for that, Gary.
No problem.
Phil.
Evening, Phil.
Hello,
Evening.
mate.
Is it Ted Henry?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah,
And
it is,
James
mate.
hiding away in the background.
Right, mate.
I'm just a bit
Phil,
shocked
how's
that
it
a
going?
boy from Woolwich has become a teacher, that's all. But anyway, that's another story.
Well, if I told you, that is a long story because most of my schoolmates, I was the last person ever that they'd ever put their money on to be a teacher. That's probably why I've been successful. It's like use a thief to catch a thief.
Bless you, Phil. Before I let you off on these lot, you're now part of the No One Likes Us talking broadcasting team, a feature on our monthly podcast. I know you've only experienced the Premier podcast. The next one is following in a couple of weeks' time. But
Yep.
what can the listeners expect to hear on there?
I'm trying to just make it as honest as possible, but also bring an ex-pro slant to it. When you're in the change rooms for, what was I in there for about 15 years as a pro and then 5 years non-league, you get an inkling into what the manager's trying, you get the background information, you get that, I don't know, there's just that insider information, if you know what I like. So I'm trying to bring honesty, but a little bit of an ex-pro. Although back in my day you had muddy pitches and now they've got bowling greens, so there is a big difference. But yeah, trying to bring that inside the change room slant.
Hello, Phil. It's Ted here.
Hi, Ted.
All right, mate. You played football for almost 20 years until you hung up your boots at Wivenhoe. You scored one senior goal for the Lions in your career, and that significant goal in the FA Youth Cup. Can you, and I'll bet the answer is yes, can you tell us how much you remember about them goals?
Every single bit. I started off with the FA Youth Cup goal. We had no doubt in our minds at all that we would win that cup, probably from the second or third round. We'd beaten Sunderland, I think we'd beaten Norwich, and then the toughest game, which we made silly for ourselves, we were 3-1 up in the Den against Forest. And we'd gone away and beaten them 1-0. It was a bit of an Alamo up there. They really went for it, but we had a good defence at them times and beat Everton in the semi-final. Then Man City, we went away and 0-0. We should have had a lead from the away game. But to cut a long story short of that journey, we got to half-time and we'd had a lot of set pieces. We'd had a lot of success in that final. And I can remember Terry Long said to me at half-time, who was a coach under George Petrie, just stay out the box a little bit longer and hold your run. Let Kevin O'Callaghan, put it where he's going to put it, and don't get in there too early. Just hold your run and see what happens. First corner, Callie sticks it on a penalty spot, and I've just darted across Tom Caton, rest his soul, and nutted it in the top corner. And I can tell you exactly where it hit me on the forehead. I can tell you it hit the back of the stanchion and went across the goal. I can tell you I went to my right towards the tunnel celebrating, and then I looked up at the crowd and saw my parents there and my brothers. The next thing I know, we'd won it. The rest of the game was a bit of a blur, really, although it was comfortable. But yeah, that was the FA Youth Cup goal. And then I came on as a sub, Oxford away. And I've been sitting on my backside quite a few. I think I was substituted about 20 times that season. And I was just always in George Pettie's ear. I'll go on and go if you want me to. I'll go up front if you want me to. Anyway, he puts me on in midfield after about 20 minutes. I think Dave Mimic got injured. And I'm in midfield and I'm running around like a headless chicken, thoroughly enjoying myself. And then Nicky Chatterton rolls me a ball, edge of the area, in the D. And it just popped up and just hit my thigh stroke arm that was beside it. It would probably be a V, what do you call it, a VAR these days. Anyway, I just nudged it down about 20 yards out and absolutely whacked it into the top corner past their keeper, who never had a chance. I think he just got his fingertips on it. But yeah, that was my one and only league goal for Millwall. And yeah, Oxford away. I can remember I think Millwall fans set fire to the stand. There was some flames going up behind the goal.
That's just a rumour. That's just an ugly rumour, that is, Phil. That never happened, really.
You sound like that was you, Ted, that started the fire.
No, I'll give up smoking years ago. Before that, I'm sure I did.
I think it was some supporters' scarves. Who used to wear scarves. I think they were being dangled over the girders. But that was my one and only league goal. 20-yarder in the top corner. Roy Barton was the keeper. He never got near it. But,
well, you ain't let us down, Phil, because you give every second of them moments of you scoring that, which I fully expected you to remember, mate.
Thanks.
Phil, it's James here.
Hi, James.
Hiya. Being an FA Youth Cup winner, did it put you and your teammates in the shop window? And if it did, was there any interest in your services at the time? And who of your teammates made it pro?
That final, I think there was about 10,000 at the Old Den, and in that crowd was Bobby Robson, Sir Bobby Moore. It was a stellar crowd and a lot of people watching. I think Kevin O'Callaghan was the first one to go to Ipswich Town. Bobby Robson paid 200,000 for him. Alan Mullery was the Brighton manager, and I picked up a newspaper article where Brighton offered 400 grand for me, and I walked into George Pedge's office. And he went, "You're going nowhere, son. Here's a 4-year contract." Oh, all right then. Signed it. So that was me ruled out of going to Brighton. And then about 2 years later, they got to the FA Cup final, so I was a bit sick. But I got a 4-year deal out of it. So more than happy with my club and the way George Petty treated us. But there were 14 lads in that squad, and 14 of them played in the first team. 14 signed pro. And I've said it to anybody that wants to know, that will never happen ever again. If it's happened since then, I'll be amazed. I don't think 14 apprentices will ever sign pro and all play in the first team. And the vast majority of them went on to good careers in the Football League. You know, we had to get together, and I did a bit of a number crunching about the 14 lads. And I think we tallied up about 3,700 league games between us. For various clubs. So,
Phil, he's after your role.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Glazer is still the record goalkeeper for Northampton Town, and he should have stayed at Millwall a lot longer. I won't mention a certain person that got shot at us all, but he shall remain nameless. But Paul Roberts, Paul Roberts, 500 games. Paul Robinson, he'd have played a long time without his knee injury. Dave Martin had a stellar career, Millwall, Southend. Kevin O'Callaghan, Republic of Ireland, and films.
Escape to Victory.
Escape to Victory. Tony Kinsella, again, great career. Dave Memmott, again, injuries, probably would have played more. Alan McKenna went up to Scotland and played league football up there. Chrissy Dibble, Wimbledon. Ian Gale was the only one. I think he played 8-10 games for Millwall, and then he just didn't want to play anymore. He just dropped out. He just lost it completely, about 19 years old. But Gailey was one of those. He was a top player as well. He could have gone on for a long time. Andy Massey, Dean Horrocks, God bless him. So there was and waiting in the background after that was Paul Sanson and Keith Stevens. They were right behind us in terms of age. Yeah, we had a cracking squad, and as I say, a lot of interest from the top clubs. My biggest regret in football is that he who shall remain nameless tonight didn't keep us all together, and as 21, 22, 23-year-olds, because they all had long contracts, George Petty saw the future. Big regret that we never stayed together, and as I say, at 23 years old we'd have been maturing, and if we were the best team in the country at 18, God knows what we'd have done if we'd have stuck together for a few more years. But that's a regret. But playing with those lads, just winning games, we won games how we wanted to. And also, out of that squad, there's an unknown fact. 5 of us came back and played 2 spells at Millwall. Me, Dave Memmott, Kevin O'Callaghan, Tony Kinsella and Dean Horrocks. 5 of us out of that squad came back and had second spells at the club. So, great times, great bunch of lads. And, it sits still bright in the memory.
Phil, mate, it's Henry. Lovely to speak to you, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Well, I say good. Perhaps I could take this opportunity to say a couple of months ago I lost my mum, and a big Millwall fan, mainly because of me and Nick. But a lot of Millwall fans might listen into this and remember sitting on the coach and the train with her going up and down the country, both in the Youth Cup and then obviously following me, then following Nick. So I lost my mum about 2 months ago, and as I say, and my gran, I've got a photo in front of me here of my gran. I mean, there ain't many 80-odd-year-olds that get down to the Den to see 2 boys playing in the first team. So,
true.
Lost my mum a couple of months ago, and 6 weeks ago I had a hip replacement. So there's a bit of titanium floating around in me at the moment, and I'm 6 weeks out of that operation, and I'm blaming Millwall for it. It's all wear and tear. So, running up and down the hills in Greenwich Park, and I've got a hip replacement. Thanks for it.
As you should. Like, it's, and as a result of this, obviously, you felt you had to get away from the den. So, my question revolves around that. You're not local to the den these days, like a good number of us, me included. Down here in Hollingbourne. Yeah. Only this week on Maritime Radio, George and Eamon were asked about how people associate with sides outside the Premiership. So what's your view on that? How do you associate yourselves with Millwall and sides outside the Premiership when you're not in that locality?
Well, I'm about 60 miles away in Colchester, and you can't take Millwall out of the boy from the age of 12, 13 on the steps of the Cold Blow Lane end. So I follow the club. I look at every single... it was on the red button the other night. I was first league game of the season. I was down there before the hip operation. I just think it's everybody has everybody. Fans have their club, and you either go week in, week out, up and down the country, time, money, job permitting, family permitting. There's an awful lot coming from Kent. There's an awful lot coming from all around the place when they can. I get a little bit pissed off with some fans. You're not a real supporter if you don't go home and away. Well, I'm a real supporter. I can't go home and away. I live in Colchester. That's me living up here now. My family's up here. But I'm coming to the Luton game. Just hope the doctor will allow me to drive. If you don't, I'm still coming. So I'll come to the Luton game. I'll be down for the Stoke game. And I'll come down whenever I can, because it's my club. I've got an awful lot of friends down there. All the family still go. And am I interested in the Premier League? Not really. To be honest with you, there's a game on Monday night. After 15 minutes, I'm bored stupid. I've got no real interest in any of those clubs. Millwall's my team from the same age.
Same, yeah.
I like watching the football, but I do get bored with it. I think the Championship is a cross between quality, and there's some tackles in there, and there's a bit of competition in there, so it's a nice, refreshing game. The sterileness of the Premier League, although I've noticed a few tackles are being allowed this year. Perhaps I might make a comeback once his hip's repaired. But no, I think the Premier League has its place, mainly due to money. Man United fans, Liverpool fans, they're the same as me. I'm a Millwall fan. That's it, full stop.
Fair enough,
Sorry, but just one thing at Millwall is it's never boring, because we make our own entertainment if the game's rubbish.
Do you know what I think? I'll keep saying this stuff. I mean, Gary Rowett's tactics are boring. It's not for me, but that's another story for another night. But I catch up with family early on. We've got a tradition with a pie and mash. We'll have a beer. If I'm driving, I'm the driver. I won't have a beer. It's a bit of a downer. I watch the game. We catch up with loads of people before, during the game. We go to more or less the same seats. If I'm in the exec lounge, I'll catch up with one of my heroes and somebody who set me on the road, Billy Neal. Brian Horn's in there, Jimmy Carter's in there. There's a whole host, Jeff Burnige. There's a whole host of people that it's just a day out for me. It's just my club. There's my type of people. As I say, family are there. The game is not insignificant, but that's we go to watch the game. But that gives us something to talk about after. But it's just, to me, it's just this ritual.
Part of the day, Phil, the game is just part of the day. Sometimes we're glad to get that part of it out of the way. But
well, you talk about it before the game, you watch it, and then you talk about it after. And sometimes you think, what the hell was I talking before? It was rubbish, So, you think you're going to win every game 6-0, and in reality, it's nowhere near that. But it's just a fantastic day out to catch up, and just, as I say, it's a bit of a ritual, really.
Yeah, thinking about all the managers, both at youth and senior level, that you played under at the Den, how would you rank them, Phil? Every single one of them different. All had one aim, is to win games and improve the team. Gary Rowett's trying to do that now. I've looked at some of the boys he's brought in, Ojo, Afobe. They're far better. They look good players. Managers I've had, I started out with Gordon Jago as a schoolboy, and his trusted sidekick Theo Foley, who absolutely great bloke. George Petty and Terry Long. George Petty was like my dad in football, and Terry Long was a good coach. I came back under, I had a short spell under George Graham as well, because I came back and just trained and played in the reserves to keep fit. And George was very good. I learnt a lot off of George in terms of organisation,
absolutely disciplined. I mean, I probably told you this before. He painted a white line across the carpet at the top of the stairs. You went into the players' room for a cup of tea. If you crossed over the line, it was a week's wages. No one went in his office or anywhere near him. Set pieces on a Friday, 2 or 3 hours. No wonder we were called the stiffs. You know, if you weren't in the first team, you literally stood there in the wall until it was absolute perfection. So, and then obviously John Dockey. Again, John, he had his way of looking for players. He knew what he wanted. But again, the guy that came in and just put the icing on the cake was Frank McClintock. You know, his tactics and his little tiny bits and pieces, how to mark, that was on the fringes of illegal, but there you go. I had some really good managers away from the club. Bobby Roberts at Colchester, he had a thing where he wanted all his players to be quick. So at one stage, I think we had one of the quickest teams in the country. None quicker than Kevin Beattie when he joined the club. Alan Hunter was the manager then, player manager, and I learnt an awful lot of Alan Hunter. Particularly how player managers alongside you when he's barking the orders and he's also managing. But Alan Hunter had a way of looking after the player, so there's that man management side. And there was a few others, but I think they were all different. Organised tactics, mainly 4-4-2 back in the day, but yeah, some stand out. I say George Graham was very, very spot on, immaculate with how he dressed and immaculate how he set the team up. And if there was a set piece, everybody knew. Woe betide if you got the set piece positioning wrong before it got taken. Oh dear me, that was fearful on Monday. But all different really. George Petty was like my dad. Sign here, looked after you, put an arm around you, as did Alan Hunter. A tough guy, Alan Hunter. God dear me, yeah, he was looked after players. I'd have gone for a brick wall for him, but he was a tough player. Brought in Kevin Beattie, as I said, which was to me an honour. I played beside Kevin Beattie. For me, the greatest defender this country's ever had, and one of the greatest players we've ever had. Because if you see what I saw with him doing in training, you couldn't get near him, you couldn't out jump him, you couldn't out sprint him, you couldn't out tackle him. He kicked the ball further than anybody. He headed the ball further than anybody. He lifted heavier weights than anybody. I followed him on a circuit once, and he's talking to me while he's on this fixed wheel bike, and the old legs are spinning round, and I'm doing my weights. Move on a station. I got on the bike. I couldn't turn the bloody wheels. He was sitting there. His thighs. The boat was absolute colossus. And if you see clips of him playing for England and Ipswich in the day, God, I played about 8 games beside Kevin Beattie. To this day, it's an honour. I can't say any more. He's the best I've ever come across. So, yeah, good managers. I thank them for giving me a game from time to time. I've had some bad ones as well. There's 2 that spring to mind. One I'm not going to name because I'll keep on naming him, Peter Anderson, and the other one was a guy called Cyril Lee, who, believe it or not, was Bobby Robson's sidekick. I'll leave Cyril Lee for another day because he was off his nut sometimes.
Oh, Phil, we could ask so many more questions, and of course you're going to be joining me, Henry, Kai on the monthly podcast shortly. Before we say goodbye, let's have a quick prediction for the Barnsley game at the weekend.
All right, if you look at Millwall, everyone's going to say it's going to be a draw. But I think there's been an improvement week on week. And I think with a bit of luck, the Coventry disallowed goal, leading against Blackburn, leading against QPR, good chances against top of the table West Brom, who've got a good solid squad. I think we're going to be tough to beat. So there's a 0. And I just think if Ojo, Afobe, some of these guys, Jed Wallace, if they get the chances and they just start taking them. So I'm going to go for an away win. We've had some decent clean sheets, really good performances away from home, and I just think it'll come. It'll come. They're the makings of a really good side. It's solid at the back. We're tough to beat. Now that is, Gary Rowett might get stick for playing his 3-5 or his 5-3, whatever, but Brian Clough set out by having a solid defence that didn't concede any goals, and he won 1-0. And if Brian Clough did it, surely you start with that structure. Everybody falls back. We're tough to beat. We're not going to concede any goals. Some players are coming back and made a difference. Hutch made a big difference the other day. Afobe looks fit. Ojo looks an absolute... he'd frighten me to death just looking at him because you know he's quick. Jed, he's been ill. He's come back. The right thing to do for me. You don't start him. You ease him back after an illness. You don't take it out of him. So will he start on Saturday? There's an attacking lineup there that's got goals in it. It's just getting the service to them. So, yeah, I'm going to go for a sort of like a 1 or a 2-0 away win.
I think we'd all take that. Phil, thanks for joining us, and all the best to you. And I'll speak to you in a couple of weeks. And till next time.
Brilliant, lovely guys. Great, enjoyed it.
Cheers, Phil.
Take care.
Cheers.
See you, Phil.
Phil, take care.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers, Phil. Right, we'll take a break there and listen to Debbie Julians and Harvey Brown.
First of all, let's hear from Harvey Brown.
Have you heard of the Lions Food Hub? It is now located in the Millwall Community Trust car park. That's beside Millwall's Den in Ballina Road. That Millwall Lioness, Kelly Webster, is involved. Don't forget to help the Lions Food Hub if you can. Thank you.
As Harvey said, they need support, and you can help if you can by making a one-off or a regular monetary donation online at Banquet, that is BANKUET. Or on a Saturday, you should make donations pre-match at the hub, about 50 metres down from the Lions store. Alternatively, you can also contact the team via their Twitter and Facebook sites.
I'm Gary Staff, and I have with me the No One Likes Us Talking team of Ted Robinson, Henry Morgan and James Kelly. Food poverty is a crisis of its own, and if you can help, your kindness will be much appreciated. Next up, we hear from the lovely Ellis Barr.
Ellis here. Thank you for watching my videos. Now to hear what the Millwall Lionesses and Romans have been up to, and to hear who is next up for Gary Rowett and the Lions. Come on, Millwall!
Millwall Romans faced Charlton Invicta in the London Unity League on Sunday, whilst their second team, Millwall Pride, have a weekend off. Eamon caught up with Paul Loding of the Millwall Romans and Gary Ginnaw from Charlton Invicta.
Last Sunday saw the second London derby with the Millwall Romans facing Charlton Invicta at St Paul's Rotherhithe. Gary, what was it like to come to the hallowed ground of St Paul's at Rotherhithe for your first away derby game against Millwall Romans?
Yeah, no, it was a really good experience. It's a great place to see, to see the facilities, great pitch, quite a wide pitch to play on. We are used to that at Sparrows Lane. I'm sure Paul will tell you how big the pitch is down there. But it was good to play against the guys, to catch up with the team, and to earn a result as well, which is something that we wanted to. It was our first game of the season in the London Unity League, and we wanted to put a shift in the derby.
But it wasn't the result that many Charlton fans would really desire, because it still hasn't removed that famous situation where Millwall have not lost to Charlton, since back in the last century, has it?
No, that's true, yeah. I think we came close. I mean, we went 1-0 up in the game. I mean, it was a real battle, end-to-end game, and chances on both sides. I think for us, we talked about it after the game, to earn a point away to Romans. We saw it as a real positive result, considering the team won every game last season, and we were the first team to pick up any points at St Paul's Sports Ground. So for us, that was a real big win. We didn't get the 3 points, but we've started the season with a point against the champions away from home, and that's got to be seen as a positive result.
Well, yes, that's a good way of looking at it, and certainly a good way of spinning it.
That's it. Yeah, it's always the way.
How did the game run out for you guys?
Yeah, it was great to get them to come over to us. We always look forward to this fixture. It's a good friendly rivalry. I've been playing against Gary for many years now, but it's nice to play under the Millwall umbrella against Charlton. Like Gary said, it was a real battle of a game. It was a proper London derby. Charlton, they were playing quite a high line. We were probably trying to go a little bit too direct over the top. Their keeper's very quick off his line, and a very, very good shot stopper, to be fair to him. I think we come off at half-time thinking that we weren't playing the best we could. We were defending quite well, but thankfully we did manage to score in the second half. And I think when Charlton scored, they were dropping back. They were definitely playing for the draw.
Yeah.
We just couldn't find the back of the net. It was one of them games, and it's disappointing that we did drop the 2 points, but at least we keep up the Millwall record.
Yeah, that's the key factor, as every Millwall fan and Charlton fan well and truly knows. Paul, what's coming up next for the Romans and Pride?
So we've got another first this weekend. It's going to be Romans versus Pride at St Paul's. It's a 3:00 kickoff. It's a nice momentous occasion for us. I've had a message from Sean Daly today, the CEO of the trust, to say that the new kits are arrived as well. So we'll be playing in the new Millwall kit, the blue and gold one. First run-outs on Sunday.
So we'll have to get Patricia Maslin down there to do the photographs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll give her a nudge to get in touch, and we'll get that done. So that's wonderful. And what's up next for Charlton, Gary?
Yeah, well, we've got 2 teams now. So we've got a mainstream Sunday League team in the North Kent Sunday League.
Yeah,
we've got a cup game this coming Sunday, which is in the John Robinson League Cup. Not named after the ex-Charlton player, unfortunately.
That's what I was going to say. That, yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously we've got a London Unity League game against Soho Freedom. So it's a double header for us, 2 games at Sparrows Lane, one after the other. So it's an action-packed weekend.
Well, all the best to your team, Gary, until you play us yet again. And we'll look forward for the record to continue unhindered, because unfortunately with Charlton in League One, we don't get the opportunity these days to improve on it. But that's the way it goes. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Gary. By the way, it was 1-1. Charlton led, but the Romans came back and nearly won it.
Thanks, Eamon. Our very own Jeff Burnige travelled to Saltdean and met up with Debbie Julians last Sunday and brings us a report from Lionesses' away fixture and tells us what's up next for the Lionesses.
Last Sunday, the Lionesses won 3-1 away at Saltdean United, a club from where we once signed Paul Eiffel. After the resignation of Katie Whitmore, the caretaker management team of Greg McAliney and Alex Russell were assisted by our media officer Harry Cooper, who produced regular Twitter updates. The one change in the 16 was the loss of Maya Graham, replaced on the bench by the ubiquitous Kebby Webster 1 week before her wedding. In a 4-4-1-1 system, the management team pushed Chloe Burr up front, with Lottie Iverson supporting her from behind. Maya's place at centre-back was filled with the return of Libby Stubbs, and that worked well, as did the change up front. Left-back Amy Nash opened the scoring on 7 minutes from a brilliant corner kick routine with Chloe Burr. Early in the second half, we deservedly made it 2-0 when Maisie Joyce, in her first season with Millwall, scored with a great finish from close range. The Lionesses were looking very focused and confident after their disappointing start to the season, and Chloe Burr saw her wonder strike right to the top corner, brilliantly turned away for a corner. Then, shortly afterwards, on 83 minutes, a brilliant stooping header from midfielder Emily Stanley put us 3-0 up. Saltdean did pull a goal back on 85 minutes, but we held on comfortably. This Sunday in Chislehurst, Millwall Lionesses fans and players alike are looking forward to an FA Women's Cup tie away to Glebe Ladies FC. After last Sunday's great 3-1 win at Saltdean United in the Regional League Premier Division, it will be really special to see Lions fans supporting the girls in this important match. Glebe beat Bexhill United on penalties in the last round, while we had a bye. The match is at 2 p.m. on Sunday at Old Elthamians Ground, the War Memorial Ground, Foxbury Avenue, Chislehurst, BR7 6SD, BR7 6S for sugar, D for Donald. Hope to see lots of Millwall fans there.
Thanks, Jeff. Interesting, Jeff, you mentioned there that Paul Eiffel joined us from Saltdean. It was former Lion Dennis Burnett who found Paul, and he's, I believe he's still awaiting a finder's fee from you, Jeff. And since Jeff recorded his report, Jack Wheeler has been appointed the Lionesses manager, and he'll be joining us next week. So, gents, I'll go with you first, James. what are your thoughts on what we've just been speaking about there?
Yeah, it all sounded pretty promising. And then in terms of the Lionesses, I thought it sounded really encouraging to hear that they're growing with confidence game by game, and hopefully it can continue.
Yeah, agreed. What do you think, Ted?
Well, yeah, that obviously the main thing is to keep up the I was going to say good work, but it just comes naturally, doesn't it? Stopping Charlton from beating us. It's a simple thing in life, but then they're a simple team, aren't they? But with the Lionesses, it's great for them to get off the mark with a win. You know, I mean, it could have been a bit disheartening for them for the first couple of games in the defeats that they had, but to come back like that shows a lot of character. There's a lot of youth in there. We keep saying this, and hopefully they might even grow as a side, a bit like Phil Coleman was talking about the FA youth team, in the sense that they come up together and become a good women's team in the near future, where they could even be pressing into the Premier League.
Well, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? Henry, what about your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what Jack Wheeler does to build on what's gone previously. I think I mentioned in the last show, a couple of really good key players moved on at the end of last season, goal scorers. Like Ted was saying, a couple of disappointing losses, and I think this was a great way to get back on track and get back into the business of starting to win games again, which I think any time you're winning 3-1 away from home, that's got to be fantastic. And obviously allowing some of the other girls to get a bit of a run out. And as for the Romans, obviously keeping that, not being defeated run against our South London rivals going is fantastic. And the fact that they continue to build more and more players down there, and that both teams are starting to flourish, I think it's fantastic.
Indeed. I think it's a strange one, really, for me, because Charlton just can't beat us. It's that strange voodoo going back to, what is it? Wow. Let's hope it continues and continues and continues. And with the ladies, I think Ted made a very good point there, that I hope it grows. I hope the team does grow and stick together. And I know there's been a lot of changes over the last few years. And I saw on Twitter the other day that one of the ladies is saying how much at Millwall the Lionesses are being encouraged again. Obviously, they had their setback a couple of years ago, but they really have grown again in the society. And fingers crossed we can get back up to the levels where we should be with the ladies. Next up, it's the trip to the Tykes for the Lions on Saturday, who have not had a storming start as they did last season. Henry Statto Morgan, my colleague on the monthly pod, but you better watch out for the Statto. I think old Phil Coleman was trying to nick that from you earlier there, mate.
I'm taking offence against that, actually.
He's been looking at the opposition and spoke with Carlo.
View from the opposition this evening, we are speaking to Carlo from the Reds Report. Carlo, it's lovely to have you on, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Just to flag this to listeners, we are actually speaking on the eve of both Millwall's game against Bristol City at the Den and Barnsley's game. Is it at Oakwell?
We're at Oakwell tonight against Forest.
There we are. Right, okay, wonderful. So we were speaking on the eve of those two games. So things may have happened in midweek that we can't reference. Carlo, talk me through Barnsley's season so far.
Last season, fantastic season, playoffs. You know the story. We finished fifth. Ismail left, Mowat left, a couple of players left, but not many. Marcus Schopp has come in, another manager identified through the recruitment process that fits our style of play. And it's been, let's say, maybe slightly underwhelming so far. A lot of draws. And a different style of football, a style of football where last season was very much about get the football in the opposition half and press them to death, create chances and score goals. And this season, it's like, we play it out from the back. It's not firing on all cylinders yet. It feels a little bit like the car that won, maybe the Grand Prix of whatever country last season we've taken and we've put a new engine in it and we're trying to run on diesel and it's just not clicking so far, which is frustrating. to say we've still got majority of the players. So, like I say, a lot of draws, a defeat on Saturday away at Blackpool, which for the Barnsley faithful, a weekend in Blackpool is always great, but when you go home, having created not many chances and losing 1-0, it leaves a bit of a sour taste. So things do need to turn around before pressure starts mounting on the Barnsley head coach.
Your manager moving across to West Brom, probably some of the bigger transfer news actually in the Championship of the summer. Who do Millwall need to be looking out for? Give us 3 or 4 Barnsley players that are going to be the key to your success on Saturday.
Central defender Mikael Halleck came in a couple of seasons ago, very much unheard of. Since then has become a full-blooded Poland international. In fact, he was tasked with keeping Harry Kane quiet in the latest international between Poland and England at Wembley. In central midfield, a lot of hype around Callum Styles last year, who played out wide. He's now moved to central midfield and is not really firing on all cylinders yet. I don't know if that's because of the change of position, because he is really a central midfielder, but he did fantastic for us out wide. And you know what? Coley Woodrow's been at the club a few years now, on a regular basis, the top goal scorer. He's captain this season as well. The thing is, if he gets the service, he will score a goal, but it's all about providing in the service. So I would say the spine of the team would be Halleck, Styles, and Woodrow up front.
Interesting what you're talking about service. There's quite a few parallels there with the Lions. Is there anybody from Millwall's team that you think might cause you particular problems on Saturday?
You know what? Individually, I mean, you have to look at probably Jed Wallace, who's obviously, who's scoring goals. But I think any team that comes with a plan and sticks to the plan, Barnsley have shown a difficulty coping with that. Last season, we imposed our style of play on a lot of teams, and that got us results. That's not been happening. We've had one half against QPR, which was absolutely amazing, and some of the best football I've seen in absolute years, or seasons at least. That's not happening. So if Millwall turn up at Oakwell with their game plan, and if they're able to impose it onto Barnsley, it will cause us problems, because sometimes we have a lack of a plan B almost. And there's one thing, we said it before, I think Barnsley and Millwall club-wise are sort of very alike of where we are. Look at the table of point separators at the moment. I think it's going to be down to leadership and tactics. Can Marcus Schopp get it together and get a home win? Or actually, will Millwall have a game plan to counter Barnsley? Because at our style of play at the moment, a lot of clubs are coming high on the pitch and pressurising our midfielders. And well, that's getting results. You only have to ask Blackpool, for instance, at the weekend, because they stuck to their plan and they dominated us on every single area of the pitch.
Hopefully Gary Rowett's listening to that. Score prediction?
Like you said, this is the eve. Tonight we've got Forest. Listen, I'd love Barnsley to get a win, because we need to get our season started. But I can't see beyond the draw at the moment. I think we're in similar situations. Barnsley have not got that killer instinct because of the lack of the game plan. Actually, I'll go for maybe a boring, but a 0-0 and a point share at Oakwell.
Thanks for that, Henry. Guys, now that we know the results of those two games, obviously Barnsley losing 3-1 home to Forest, we beat Bristol City. Does that change your thoughts on what has been spoke about there with Carlo? I'll ask you first, Ted.
No, not really, Gal. I mean, look, Barnsley's always been a dodgy side to us, haven't they? I think, but I think the key there was what Carlo said. I think if Millwall go there and impose themselves upon Barnsley, which is, when a team like Barnsley are lacking a little bit of self-belief, which is what it appears to be to me, a little bit of cohesion, because it's a new manager. I mean, last year you could see they was playing for that Ishmael. They was playing for him. They was giving everything for him, and they was all over the place in a sense, pressurising the opposition. Whereas what I've seen lately of Barnsley, they allow sides to play a bit more, and that they're struggling. So if we impose ourselves, and I think we are on a more of an upward curve than Barnsley, and I'm hoping if everybody is fit and we get a front three looking like we had at the end of towards the end of the game with Ojo, Wallace, and Afobe, I think we could cause them a lot of problems. I'm quietly confident about it. The easiest thing to say would be turn around and say it's going to be a draw, but I'm quietly confident that we may well get a win on Saturday.
James?
Barnsley went ahead against Forest and they ended up losing 3-1 to a side who are near the bottom of the table. So that's obviously not going to bode well for their confidence. They haven't had a particularly good start under their new manager. I feel like with our win against Bristol City, that will get a bit of confidence back into the side. And hopefully, as Ted said, there's it always annoys me when we play Barnsley because they always seem to get a result against us. They've been a bit of a bogey team for us over the last couple of years, but I do actually think that we can get a win there. I'm going to say 2-0.
Brilliant. And Henry?
I mean, it's interesting. I thought that Barnsley were 1-0 up last night at half-time, or just after half-time, and they've somehow managed to lose to a Forest side, which I thought looked toothless against us by 3 goals in the game after that. I mean, I talked for a while actually with Carlo and before we went on air, and it was interesting what he was saying about the fact that they lost their manager in the summer. Huge, really. And you've got a manager in there now who's trying to impose a new system without one of the key players that they had last year, and people are trying to learn their roles, and it doesn't feel like the same side. I mean, the only other thing I'd say is it looks to me like they play a very similar system to us. So are the two systems going to cancel each other out? Oakwell's a difficult place to go to. I think I've been there about 6 times and only seen us win there once in the coldest fixture I've ever been to in my entire life, when Marshall scored that absolute screamer in his number 44 shirt. But I mean, I see no reason why we can't go and win there. I really don't, especially after the Bristol City game. So it'll be interesting to see Scott Malone's injury, how bad that is. I think if we lose him, who's been a constant in the side all season, again, we're going to be changing the team up, and again, someone else is going to have to be learning that position. And again, we're not really going to be on the back foot, but, Oakwell's a difficult place to go to. So, I mean, I think a draw.
I mean, what we don't want to do, sorry, Gary, what I was going to say, what we don't want to do is when there's a team that's low on confidence, is give them any encouragement. Yeah. You know what I mean? If a side with a side that's lacking confidence, if they manage to go up, and all of a sudden they become sort of world beaters, their belief comes back into them, and although obviously that's against the obvious thing that happened with Forest the other night, but. Listen, I say we keep it tight, get ourselves in front. I think Barnsley are going to be in for a long, long day.
Well, let's hope so. I'm personally going to go for a tight 1-0 win for us. And we also have a prediction from Carla Marie Howes, who runs the Millwall Home and Away site on Facebook. And Carla says it'll be, like James and Henry said, I think, a 2-0 win for the Lions. We'll take a break there and hear from the fantastic fanatics, with a little bit of help from ourselves. And that's all of us.
Hi, I'm Richard Gordon, and I'd like to invite you to become a Fantastic Fanatic. Fantastic Fanatics is a great way to raise funds for your sports club. Sign up today, find your club, and securely register your everyday debit and credit cards. Every time you spend with our retail partners, they pay a percentage back to your club. It costs you nothing, and you can win cash prizes along the way. Visit fantasticfanatics.com and help your club be the best it can be.
I'm Gary Staff, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Ted Robinson, Henry Morgan and James Kelly. Reward the Millwall Community Trust every time you buy through the Fantastic Fanatics site. Our final guest has followed the Lions, plays for the Lionesses, runs the Lions Food Hub, and is an ambassador for the Millwall Community Trust. Most recently, she featured with our Johnny Borrow on Maritime Radio, talking about the Lions Food Hub. She doesn't really need an introduction. It is the one and only Kelly Webster. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you very much. I said your introductions get bigger each time, I think, but thank you. I hope you're all keeping well.
Well, you can stop doing things then, Kelly. We can't keep adding them into the list.
I'm trying, believe me.
I don't know how you find the time.
Nor do I.
Before we go any further, great to have you back on. And ahead of your big day tomorrow, and thanks for sparing us the time. Are you looking forward to it?
I think it's been a long time coming. It's been very stressful, I've got to say. I I think I'd rather play 90 minutes every day for 7 days a week for I don't know how long. But yeah, I'm just glad we're finally getting there. Looking forward to Saturday now. So yeah, it's not long.
Lovely.
Oh, hi Kelly, Henry here.
Hi Henry.
How you doing? Yeah, obviously, I remember the night before my wedding, funnily enough, I met Billy Neal in my local pub, totally out of the blue, and it just threw me. So it was mental, yeah.
Well, I never know I'm going to bump into tonight then.
Well, that's it. Yeah, better get down to Dacre Arms in Lee Green. How's the start to this season for Gary Rowett and the Lions gone for you? What do you think about it?
I think I can't complain. I think it's gone all right. I mean, I know a lot of fans are a bit disappointed, but for me, we're not losing games. I think it's not going to take much to connect everything together and start winning games like we obviously did on Wednesday. I think we've got a good squad there. So for me, I'm not disappointed. I think there's stuff to build on, definitely, and I think we're really, really close to being there and thereabouts. So yeah, I'm pretty happy at the moment, to be honest.
Right, Kelly, it's Ted here.
You're right, Ted.
Yeah, by the way, Jack Wheeler, the new manager, she was only drinking orange juice, I think, last night in Harry's bar. But anyway, that's another story.
I knew I was a night off anyway.
Oh, did he? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, right.
I'm always honest, Ted. You should know that.
Do you think our squad's the finished article, Kelly, or for this season, or what about the recruitment we've done so far? You know, I like to look at the backup goalkeeper, Long, and Afobe and Ojo look players well capable in this division.
Yeah, no, I think we are pretty much the finished article. Maybe one more could come in a certain area for me, but I really like the squad. I've got to say, I do think Long's pushing Bart to be better as much as I don't think he can get much better. I love him as a goalkeeper. So for me, I think just keep working him hard, and it's going to help Bart even more. Afobe and Ojo, I said last night, I absolutely love him. Afobe, I just think his passion, I think he's got his love back for the game, and I just think the fans love him, and I just think we're only going to see more and more better things out of him. So for me, maybe one more could come in. Oh, he does.
Looks a Millwall player, Kelly, I think, without a doubt.
I just think everything that he's been through in his life, and I just think lately, he's got that love back, and knowing that the fans love him, it just entices him to play even better and push even harder.
Yeah.
Evening, Kelly. It's James here.
Hi, James.
Hiya. Firstly, all the best for tomorrow. I hope everything goes really well.
Thank you.
That's all right. The Lions Food Hub consumes quite some time for Ellen and yourself. How is the community response helping those struggling with food poverty?
Yeah, as I say, obviously Ellen's a massive part of helping with that, because it does consume a lot of my time and it consumes a lot of hers. With everyone helping, the supporters and everything else, we obviously started doing match day donations. That started to grow, and I can't thank the people enough for all the support they've given us. With the banquet as well, that's going up and up, so our monthly donations are going up for us there, so that's helped. As I said, and I put out, I think, a tweet just recently, winter's only going to get harder with the uplift of the £20 coming away from Universal Credit. It's only going to make things more difficult for people, so that's why I'm trying to push as much as possible to make sure that we've got enough stuff for everyone there. I mean, we've gone up from 17, 18 families a week to 24 families a week. So,
brilliant.
And that's only increasing. We're getting more and more messages of people that need help, and I will try and help as many people as possible, but I cannot do that without the supporters and obviously the Millwall fans, match day donations, everything else, like yourselves, like all other podcasts that have helped. Anyone that's helped, I thank them all from the bottom of my heart, deeply, seriously.
Wow, thanks, Kelly.
That's great, Kelly. Before you go, Kelly, I've got to tell you, make the most of the evening before your wedding, because I just can't remember mine full stop. Mind you, I don't remember proposing neither, so that's another story anyway. But before you go, what about prediction for Barnsley away on Saturday?
Well, obviously, as it's the wedding day, I've got to go with a big win, and I always say it, and I think I said it last time, and I said 3-1, and I think it actually happened. So I'm going to go with 3-1, 100%. I know you obviously didn't ask me anything of this, but can I just do one more thing quickly? I just want to give a massive shout out to my teammates for their first win of the season on Sunday. Proud to be in this squad, 100%. I want to thank Greg and Alex for everything they've done for us recently. Really looking forward to going forward with Jack. And I just want to say good luck to them on Sunday in the FA Cup.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we echo that.
Brilliant. Thanks, Kelly, for joining us this evening, and all the best to both you, Ellen, and on your amazing day on Saturday. Someone wants to say something before you go, though, and give you a little special message.
Okay.
I'm getting married tomorrow. Ding dong, the dentist gonna chime. Yes, I'm getting married tomorrow. So get me to the den on time. Get me to the den on time. So get me to the den on time. Yeah, get me to the den on time.
So get me to the den on time.
Oh, wow, thank you very much.
That was our dear friend Barry Stradlin.
I'll be seeing him tomorrow.
Well done, Barry. We couldn't just say goodbye to one of our super fans, can we, Kelly?
No, but thank you seriously for everything you guys do. And as I say, I'm just glad that tomorrow's coming because it has been a long time coming. So obviously I want to thank Ellen for everything she does for me, 100%, but also thank you guys for everything you do for us.
If anyone deserves it, Kelly, it's you too.
Exactly.
Thank you,
it's our absolute pleasure, Kelly.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a break there and listen to Bethany Warren describing a most helpful app.
Hi, Bethany Warren here. Millwall Lionesses have partnered with international smartphone application Be My Eyes. Be My Eyes is an application that truly benefits the poor of sight and the blind, but is supported by those of us that can see.
You might wonder how blind people deal with everyday challenges. Well, normally the answer is simple. We're not that different from you. We play music. We go to school. We go to work. You get the picture. But sometimes the simplest things can be difficult, and we need a pair of eyes.
Connect to first available number.
That's where you come in.
Establishing video connection.
Through your smartphone, Be My Eyes connects the blind with sighted people through a live video connection. Simply choose if you need help or want to help by the click of a button.
That's a nice picture of you and your family, Caroline. Is it for a present? Yes, it's a photo from my parents.
You can help just by installing the Be My Eyes app.
Correct image.
And we'll notify you when someone needs your help. And if you're in the middle of something, don't worry. Someone else will step in. So, would you care to be my eyes?
Download the app onto your smartphone now and help those that need your eyes straight away.
Thanks, Bethany. I'm Gary Staff, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Ted Robinson, Henry Morgan and James Kelly. I was fascinated when Eamon said that this app serves almost 350,000 blind or low-sighted people in over 150 countries and who talk in over 180 languages. I had to check it's true, and it sure is, and we can all help. People continue to lose their lives to this dreadful virus or as a consequence of suffering with it. As deaths increase and infections continue and higher numbers are being hospitalised too. Our thoughts go out to their families, friends and those that take care of them. Additionally, please respect the requirements of transport and other locations in reducing risk of infections to minimise the possibility of further lockdowns. Also be expecting of the preference of individuals and how they protect themselves.
First of all, what about sponsoring a player, enjoying a great executive lounge VIP package with family and or friends, or just getting behind the club in a number of different ways, and that includes business propositions from advertising to sponsorship? Just contact the lovely Andrew Stead, as Pat Maslin says, in the commercial department to find out more. The Lions Roar magazine has not hit the streets yet this season. Editor-in-Chief Aisha Smith has not been well, and we wish her a speedy and good recovery. Nonetheless, it is anticipated the magazine will go on sale at Zampa Road gates on a day when we play Luton at the Den on October the 16th. So let's help out Aisha out with buying the Lions Roars, because I'm sure that'll help her to her recovery. It's good night from me.
I'll be back next week on Friday at 8 p.m. to host the roast between two dandelions, I should say, with Bethany Warren, Stan Godwin and Dave Hart. From dandelions to game changers, the Proper Blokes Club continues to amass an incredible following, and their walks take on some fantastic strolls. Come along and join Scott Johnson, their leader, in breaking the stigma of men's mental health on any of the walk and talk groups, and there are a good few which also follow watercourses. There are regular walks from familiar locations. Just check out the Proper Blokes Club on Twitter and Facebook for arrangements. And that's good night from me.
Don't forget, player sponsorship for the Lionesses is available this season. Why not share the burden between a few of you or even a couple of companies? If you can give them some added support, you can find the details on the website. Just put Millwall Lionesses into your browser and you will find them easily enough. Lastly, Lionesses are still recruiting at the moment. If anyone is interested in coming down to St Paul's, Salter Road, Rotherhithe, please email recruitment@millwall-lionesses.com. I'll repeat that, recruitment@millwall-lionesses.com, or direct message either their Twitter account or Instagram account, Millwall_LFC. And also, don't forget, Millwall Romans need you to go along Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. to St Paul's Sports Ground and introduce yourself to player manager Paul Loding. To find out about them, it's good night from me.
Lastly, let's not forget to keep safe on the streets out there. And don't forget, you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team, who bring reports from our games both home and away, and updates on the Millwall Community Matters too on Maritime Radio, who broadcast on 96.5 FM. That's it from me. Thanks Ted, James and Henry. But before we go, why not listen to the first of the new Millwall No One Likes Us Talking monthly podcast featuring tonight's former player, Phil Coleman. Links are on our Facebook and Twitter social media sites and all popular podcast sites too. Good night from me.